look on television, you can see them dissecting a great white shark. You can watch insects up mountains, parasites in Panama. You can see all the creatures up the length of the Amazon. You'll see beautiful plants in time-lapse. You'll see extraordinary animals. You'll see mating rituals that make you crick your back when you think of trying them. But what you never see on television, believe it or not, is a microbe.
I'm going to show you a little grazing protozoa. He's swimming along quite contentedly. And then you'll see how he detects, he detects a little diatom cell which he decides he doesn't want for lunch. But then near him there is a little swimming cell. And from a distance he inspects it. We don't know what it is. But you can see that he pauses and inspects it, and then he pounces on it. He clearly detects it and knows that this is food, whereas the other cell wasn't. It's just like watching a kitten pouncing on a bird in the garden. Watch it. He sniffs at that one in some way and doesn't want it, but as he moves on, there's another little civet, and so he inspects it and wolfs it in and consumes it. Here he is deciding what to eat, deciding what not to eat, and working out how to actually do it. Now, that clearly is some sort of intelligence. So, where does this leave us? Let me just put up a photograph of some algal spores being released in the sea. It has the limpidity, the beauty of an oil painting.
When you look through the microscope at living cells, then suddenly you realise just how clever they are, how ingenious they are, and how refined are their senses. These are little euglenoid algae, and these are the kind of things that make water green. They're not blue-green algae that are going to harm anybody. In fact, it's a curious thing, but if you see a stagnant bit of water, you would say to the kids, "Oh, don't touch that, you'll get something horrible." If I see a stagnant bit of water, I'm rushing over with a specimen tube saying, "Oh, paradise, this will be so exciting." And this is the kind of thing that you see.
Living is done inside living cells. We sit here now as colonies of trillions of living cells, all coordinated. But the cells inside us are taking their own decisions and working out what it is we're going to do. Look at this end of a cell, and the beautifully choreographed way in which this silken border of the cell is trying to explore its environment and feel what exactly is going on. All of the time there is this amazingly complex sensation, response and life going on under the microscope. I have to say that I think they are utterly beautiful. And let me show you how a white cell is portrayed on television. Here we see the white cell, like a blob of white blue tack or sealing wax, sticking out sausage-shaped appendages and grabbing sperm as they go swimming past. I mean, nothing like this happens in life. I mean, if this happened in life, none of us would ever have been here in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. And they made them look white because of their name, white cell. But they're not white. They're transparent, like the raw white of an egg. If you want to see a real white cell, rather than this peculiar shapeless blob, here is a famous old piece of film of a white cell, surrounded by some red cells in the blood, and he's chasing those bacteria. And in some way he can sense those little black bacteria and is determined to catch them no matter where they go. And even when they turn to one side, he still turns around and hunts them and pushes cells to one side. In his inexorable quest, he won't give up until, as now, he engulfs them and eats them and destroys them. And that's how we remain mostly free of bacterial diseases, because of these transparent white cells doing their daily work. Eye spots are very, very common in these little microscopic creatures. Here's a euglena. You can see very plainly, there's his eye spot, unmistakable. And if you look at these under high magnification, you can very clearly see where the eye spot is and what it actually looks like. It's quite unmistakable. I mean, look at this. This is a single uvea. Its cell wall's got this wonderful armor plating all over it. And there is the eye. Now you watch as it turns around, and you can see quite clearly. There is its eye spot, and this is, as it were, the mouth. That's where it tasted its food. Now, if you showed that picture to any child who's never seen a living cell, this is at real speed, it's not face, it's not time lapse, you can see that. You show that to any child, he would say, well, that's some kind of space monster or alien or something, he'd say. And there's the eye, and there's the head. You could recognise all the bits perfectly well. This is in a single living cell. And now you see why I'm saying to you that I find cells so entrancing and exciting. Because under the microscope, they do have an extraordinarily complicated life which one can sit and observe. And those eye spots, there are occasions when one is observing these things under the microscope, you have the strangest feeling that in some wonderful way they're looking right back up at you.
It's a curious thing that most of you in this room could not recognise a living cell if you saw one. Quite happy with DNA, quite happy with microchips, quite happy with the rings around Saturn and the craters on the moon. We're used to so many scientific sights, but living cells, the most important ones because they're what we're made of, are the ones people never actually see. So let me take you down the microscope and we'll look at the leaf of an orchid. And there are three little, they look like mouths. The one on the bottom left corner, for example, looks just like a pair of pouting lips. And indeed, that's what they are. These are the stomata on the leaf of an orchid plant. These are the little lips that open and close to let gas and air move in and out of the leaf. And these simple little plant cells respond to levels of light, which is the sense of sight. They respond to vibration and to contact, which is touch or the sense of hearing. They respond to chemical sense, which is taste or smell. And so you can take one tiny cell from the leaf of an ordinary plant, and if you look at it right, you can realise that the senses that we pride ourselves on as sophisticated humans actually exist even inside that single tiny cell.
Hardly anybody in the world shows any interest at all in how cells as organisms behave. And we're now left with this absurd notion that nanobots are rather like organisms, or that artificial intelligence somehow matches human intelligence. No, artificial intelligence can do things that no human can ever do. But then, so can a drawing pin, and so can a pair of scissors. We have dignified these trite technological disciplines with far too much serious consideration in recent years. And what I'm going to show you tonight will point to the fact, as I now believe to be the case, that intelligence doesn't reside in groups, colonies or communities of cells, but resides within each cell itself. The earliest horror movie ever made was made in Germany. It's called Nosferatu. And Nosferatu was made in 1922 by a man called Murnau, F.W. Murnau. And one of the horrifying monsters in it was a hydra, a microscopic creature. And you see the hydra capturing and devouring a water thing, that thing. And it is quite interesting to my mind that the first horror film ever made actually did have microbes in it, because they almost entirely vanished ever since. Let me show you a clip from Murnau's original film. Which has come out very early in movies becoming popular. It was a full-length horror film, and it must have terrified audiences. The Daphnia is the size of a baby. The hydra is as long as a bus, hovering on the screen in front of the audience. These find that as one of Murnau's examples of horror in nature. And here is the archetypal nutty professor.
the movie makers would think, wow, down the microscope there are these extraordinary scientific studies. Clearly, we're in with a good chance, but nothing happened.